Hello, my name's Jackie and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm an aspiring fiction writer, and in this video I want to talk about priorities and whether you can really call yourself a writer if your writing is not your top priority. So the reason this question has come up is because last month, July, I started a new job, and at the same time I was also trying to revise a book. And I found that I couldn't put the energy I wanted towards my book because the new job was taking up a lot of energy. And it made me think, like, if I say I want to be a writer, and if I say that writing's my priority, then I should be putting my energy towards that. And I think it's very common for people to talk about things as their priorities, but they don't actually prioritize them with their time, their money, their energy. So by that I mean the really cliche example is some high-powered career guy who says, oh yeah, my family is my priority, but he's working 12 hours a day, he has a 2-hour commute, he never actually sees the family. And it's like, well, yes, the salary you're earning in that job might be paying for the nice house and might be a trust fund for your kids' education or university or whatever. But the thing is, if you're spending all of your time and energy on this job, then the job is your priority, not your family. If your family was really your priority, like you say, then you would look for a way to structure your life so you can spend your time and energy with them, even if it means maybe you're not earning so much money. Now, I know that's a very simplified example. I know there are some people who are genuinely in jobs that they can't leave, that are paying for the roof over their heads, and it means they do need to sacrifice time with their family. But in general, the theory goes that if you prioritize something, you don't just say you prioritize it, you spend your resources on it, and predominantly time, money, energy. Or if I give more of a financial example, someone might say they prioritize financial stability or they prioritize buying a house, but every week they're going out spending hundreds on fancy dinners or clubbing or whatever people do when they have lives. So even though they say that one thing is their priority, their actions don't line up. And I've always been very conscious of this. In fact, when I used to run a business many years ago, I did a coaching program where one of the first exercises we did on the first day, I think, was about priorities, and it basically asked a bunch of questions like this. I'll see if I can find the questions and put a link in the description, but it was, where are the 3 places where you spend the most time? What are the 3 things you think about the most? What's the content you consume? And so on. And for me, like, the business was legitimately the top thing. That's where all of my energy was going, which was good at that time. That's exactly what it should have been. So what I said was my priority and where I was spending my resources lined up. Now, for the past little more than a year now, I have said that I'm committed to being a writer. I've said that writing is my priority, that I'm going to commit to learning the craft and practicing the craft and writing books and revising books and so on. And I know that it might take a while. I know that I've lost over 10 years of potential practice time because I stopped writing when I left university and didn't pick it up again until I was in my 30s. But that's okay, because if I'm committed to being a writer, then I know that if I do this for 5 years, then I'm going to be much better than I am now. If I do it for 10 years, then I'm going to be much better than I am now. And hopefully that's going to culminate into me writing stories that I love and that other people love, and maybe being able to build a career from this. Or even if I don't build a career from this, at least I'll be telling stories, and that will be one of the things I do. So I've been saying this is a priority, and I think, especially last year, for some of this year, I've done a pretty good job at living up to that. So I have been fairly consistently putting time into writing, whether that's reading craft books or working on drafts or trying out different plotting methods, or for the last month or so revising. One of the challenges I have is that last year that was easy. I was in a job that I'd been in for a year already at that stage. I knew the ropes. I knew the company's standards weren't that high and mine were very high, so I could fairly easily get my stuff done each day. And even though that frustrated me to an extent, like I knew I could be doing more, I could be working at a much higher level, it was actually okay because it just meant I had that extra energy that I could funnel into my writing. This year, things changed a little bit. I think things changed a little bit for a lot of people in the world. I mean, there are situations like coronavirus and lockdown in certain areas, and people's routines have been thrown on their head. And that can make it really hard to keep up with your best intentions. You know, you can say that you prioritize this creative work, but if you're struggling with physical or mental health, for instance, and that's being exacerbated by the change in routine, then you sort of need to do what you can to make yourself be okay. And I feel like that's been happening to me quite a bit this year. So earlier in the year, I was struggling to get back into writing just because I think I had a bit of a slump after NaNoWriMo last year, and I really struggled to get my energy back. When I did start working on a project, it was one that was beyond my technical ability to accomplish. And at the same time, I was actually interviewing for my current job. So I had a month-long interview process, which had like 3 interviews and 5 assignments and extra chats with HR and a lot of chats with immigration here because I'm an Australian living in Europe, and being a non-European living in Europe is a little bit more complex now due to coronavirus and immigration restrictions. So there was a lot happening in that month when I started working on this book that made it very difficult to work on this book. So I put that book to the side and then started looking at revisions for last year's project, which I did in July. July also happened to be the time when I started the new job. And unlike the job I had last year, this one was much more rigorous. It's a startup. They hire really good people. They expect everyone to be at the top of their game. It's not a company where mediocrity is the standard and you can just coast by. It's a company where excellence is expected, and if you're not doing your best work, or at least the best of your ability, then people are probably going to notice and you're not going to be around for long. So if we come back to priorities, on one hand, I say that writing is my priority and I want to make it my priority, and long term, I do want to be a better writer and a productive writer and a publishing writer. But for now, I don't think it can be the priority because I have this new job and it's for a company that I really like. In fact, it's probably the first company I've ever worked for where I've really felt aligned with what they do and their mission and how they're going to change the world. And the job I ended up getting was a more senior job than what I applied for. I think, yeah, I'm still not sure what's happening with that, but I applied for a senior content manager role, so content marketing, which is what I was doing in the past, and I thought that would be a fairly easy transition. It would be a sideways step. And when I started, everyone started going, "Oh, we're so happy to have a head of marketing," and I was like, "This is news to me." So not only is it this company which has higher standards and moves at a faster pace, but it's also a role that's beyond what I've done before, and I do feel out of my depth. So there's the self-inflicted pressure of this new job, which is a combination of the company and the role, and I am invested in it and I want to do well, but I don't know how I can do well at the job at the same time as trying to push ahead with my writing. A third element then is my energy. So I've struggled with fatigue and energy for many years now, and last year things actually improved, and I think focusing on writing did actually help with that. This year it's been up and down a little bit. Like, I really did struggle earlier in the year, and then for maybe the first 3 weeks of July, 2.5 to 3 weeks of having this new job, I was just exhausted every day. Like, I would finish work for the day and I wouldn't have enough energy to have a bath. That's how tired I was. And then trying to push myself to work on my book at the same time, just like, now it doesn't feel too bad because I feel like I'm on the other side, at least for now. I do feel like I have more energy. I have gotten to the end of that draft. I haven't completely revised that draft, but I have gotten to the end, so I do feel like I'm on the other side. But I know what it felt like a few weeks ago when I thought maybe I should just stop writing for a couple of months because I don't know if I can continue this. And in fact, if you look at my YouTube upload schedule, in July I dropped from usually doing 2 videos a week to doing 1 video a week because I didn't have the capacity to keep filming. So I'm in this position where I say writing's a priority, but I can't prioritize it. And what does that mean if I want to call myself a writer? Because the truth is, I'm not a writer at the moment, at least not to the extent I want to be. In my job, I do a lot of writing. I've called myself a writer in the past and an editor because that's what I was doing in the non-fiction space. But now my day job is a marketer. So I can't even say I'm a writer professionally anymore. And in my off time, I don't know if I can continue writing consistently. So can I call myself a writer when I'm not actually writing in either sphere of my life? So as is usually the case with my writing rambles, this is a rather circular discussion. I am processing as I'm going. I hope you're enjoying it. But I find myself torn between these two schools of thought, which I've discussed before. One of them is the whole, hustle culture, Gary Vee, very big in entrepreneurial spaces, which is, you push and push and you work until you get it done. And there are all of these like entrepreneurs and like writers even who are very gung-ho about you put in the work, you do the work every day, you no pain, no gain, you hustle, you struggle and you get it done and then you see the results. And I feel like I should be doing that if I want to call myself a writer. I should keep putting in the effort at work, but I should also be getting up at 5 a.m. and doing writing every day before work, and then doing writing after work, and getting the books done, and learning and growing. And then there's the more feminine or like woo-woo school of thought, which is all about bringing yourself into alignment with what you desire. It's very The Secret, manifestation, law of attraction stuff, where you take care of yourself, you make yourself happy and nourished and content, all good words, and once you're in the position where you're in alignment with what you want, it will naturally come into your life without the struggle. And having also done a fair amount of spiritual work and personal development work, that's in my head as well. So I have this one side where I'm like, if I take a break and don't write for a while, then I can't call myself a writer. I'm not worthy to call myself a writer. But if I do that, then on this side, if I actually give myself the rest I need, even though that might be a couple of months, because I've given myself rest before, but it's like a couple of days to a couple of weeks. So if I give myself the rest I need, then maybe the ideas and inspiration will come. But then we go back to this side, which is, well, what about discipline? What about making a habit? What about practice, like regular practice at writing, making you better? It's like going to the gym. You go to the gym regularly and you get stronger, and you aren't magically going to get stronger if you take 3 months off. But on this side, am I missing the opportunity for genuine inspiration and enjoyment and finding a sustainable way to write and progress in my career and just enjoy life and take care of my health? Because health and energy is a big concern in this discussion. Am I missing out on all of that if I refuse to give myself the break? So that's where I am right now. What do you think? Have you been in a similar position where you've got this, be disciplined, do the work side of your brain conflicting with take a break, give yourself what you need side of your brain? And which side do you tend to pursue? Or have you gone down different roads in different situations, and how did you figure out which one was the right one for you at that time? So please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I am not sure what I'm going to do personally at this stage. I have just finished going through my draft of my current work in progress for revisions, and just given some other commitments that are coming up, I know that for at least the next week I'm probably not going to do so much work on it, so I'll probably see how I'm feeling in a week's time. But until then, I'd be really curious to see what you think and how you walk this tightrope. So other than that, please give me a big thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do everything that will keep the gods of YouTube happy, and I will see you next time. Bye.